Founded in 1991 by patients, the FSHD Society is the largest grassroots network of FSHD patients, their families, and research activists. The FSHD Society offers a community of support, news, and information for the millions of people affected by FSHD worldwide. This is FSHD Society Radio. Welcome, one and all, to the FSHD Society Radio Show. Thanks for being here for yet another episode as we kind of highlight people of the community as they're kind of highlighting these other episodes that we air here the second Tuesday of every month. If you want to get into the show or contact me, I should say, you can do that. The best way is email. FSHDradio at fshdsociety.org is the ultimate way to get in touch with me, either during the show, after the show. I like to watch along, so you can also comment on Facebook and even YouTube. I kind of jump back and forth in the two platforms since this is a pre-recorded episode. But I like to try to chime in with those that have things to ask, even ask the host during the live broadcast. So I am able to do that as well. So fill the comment screen. I can interact with you that way as well. We can do the sponsorship, of course. We want to thank them very much, Perkin-Elmer, Dyne Therapeutics, and Fulcrum Therapeutics. And particularly, right, Fulcrum Therapeutics has some things on the horizon as we go forward into our episodes, as well as new format of episodes, where if you go to I think it's the fourth Thursday of every month, we air an episode that is kind of the what's new and hot in FSHD Society community. And I have a funny feeling some of what Fulcrum Therapeutics is doing is going to be on some of those shows. So stay tuned or look forward to those as well. If you missed any past shows, even as far back as our beginning first couple episodes, they're all available for you on Spotify and other platforms you find your podcasts. You can do that very easily. Link up, search it, FSHD Society Radio. Today, those that are watching and are excited to probably wonder, who is our guest today? Our guest today is an actor, comedian. He is extremely funny, gifted actor. You might see his show, Ramy, on Hulu. We'll talk about that, in particular, kind of a socially awkward episode that I want to talk about that I watched, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about that. So I guess what is the viewer discretion advised as we sit down and have a nice chat with Steve Way. Steve, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. And I'd love to start off by asking you a little bit about yourself or what you want to tell the audience about you.
Well, thank you for that wonderful intro. I am great. Thank you so much for having me. Wait, what was the question? That was a lie. That was a lie.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you have a form of muscular dystrophy, and I wanted you to kind of share that as well, but also about yourself, you know.
Yeah. I'm Steve. At the time of recording this. Wait. Can I say that? I don't want to throw out the illusion of live radio.
Don't say that. You can totally say that.
All right. Well, at the time of recording, I just turned 31. Yeah, I'm an actor. Yeah, I'm an actor. A motivational public speaker. I've been doing stand-up comedy for over 11 years, and I'm a high school substitute teacher. I was born with Ulrich congenital muscular dystrophy. It's pretty rare, so I will probably never see treatment in my lifetime. But you know what? That's all right. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, I'm working on a lot of projects right now, some of which I can't talk about yet. So let's do this. Let's do this again in 6 months.
Okay.
And we talk more. I mean, Geez, what else? What else do you want to know?
Well, the fact that you're multi-talented, all the way into the fact that you also threw in that you're a high school substitute teacher, on top of the fact that you do stand-up and acting and public speaking. So
Yep.
there's a lot to kind of unpack there. But what I think what the first direction I want to go in is probably some of our listeners, people watching, are going to ask, what kind of spawned you, or what kind of motivated you into getting into stand-up comedy?
I've always used comedy as, I guess, like a coping mechanism
Mm-hmm.
for my disability when I was growing up. I don't know how healthy that was, but it worked. So I always enjoyed making people laugh at my expense, even if that means making a fool of myself. And obviously, we'll get into that when we talk about Ramy. But when I got into high school, the high school that I graduated from, which is ironically the high school I work at, they have a full TV studio in the basement. So Ramy and I, who we've known each other for 20 years, we were always using out the cameras that they had and just filming whatever we wanted. And obviously, they were mostly comedy videos, and that evolved into doing YouTube videos. Ramy did sketch comedy. Eventually got into stand up, and one day it was over my house and said, "Hey, Steve, you should write a stand up set." So I'm like, "Yeah, why the hell not? I'll do that."
Mm-hmm.
So I did it, and I showed it to him, and he read it, and he said, "Great, you're going to perform us at our next show." So that was basically how I did it.
Wow.
And then my first show was in front of 300 people in our hometown of Rutherford, in this old vaudeville theater from like the 1920s.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we had this really old theater in our town called the Rivoli. Like Buster Keaton performed there once. Yeah, it's wild. And
Wow.
yeah, I'm so proud to say that I performed my first stand-up set there.
So how did that first set go? Were you nervous? Do you get stage fright, going live?
No, I've been public speaking since I was like 9, 10 years old. So that doing substitute teaching, I'm always in front of the room, center of attention. I've never had a problem with that. At this point, it's natural to me, and it's easy.
So what's easier, being a high school substitute teacher, being in front of that audience, or stand up?
Honestly, I think they're one and the same. Because with both, you have to get them on your side.
Yeah.
If you do poorly, you have to read the room. You have to adjust what you're doing. I mean, substitute teaching is basically stand-up comedy. You're trying to make people laugh. You don't want them to heckle you. You barely get paid anything. You hope that they ask you back. It's the same thing. Same thing.
Wow. The parallels you just made were amazing right there.
It's real. It's real.
It's real. Yeah, it is. Well, that's what makes it funny, because it is real.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
So what's your favorite subject to substitute teach in? Do you do multiple? Do you try to it just kind of go where you're assigned? How does that work?
Yeah, I do everything. I do all high school.
Nice.
I do usually I do like history, English, Spanish.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or obviously, I love to fill in for the TV production classes.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun.
Yeah, because that's something that's in your wheelhouse. You're kind of bringing in your
Yeah.
multiple worlds into one place. That's
Yeah. Ramy and I loved it so much. They only offered 2 levels of it.
really
TV production 1 and 2. So we did that our freshman and sophomore years. And then our junior year, we campaigned our Board of Education for an independent study. They gave that to us our senior year.
nice.
So yeah, our senior year, we had a whole year of an independent study on filmmaking.
So
And
beyond,
I really don't know if we would have made it this far without those classes. I mean, if you're thinking about it, we've been acting on camera since we were 14. You know, that's more than half our lives.
right.
So we were really, really lucky to have access to all of that.
Well, and also to know what you both wanted to do at a pretty young age. Sometimes that's
Yeah.
awful tough. It's awful tough for people in high school age to navigate. I know I stumbled through that, and I'm not doing what I thought I was going to be doing. So to have you find that path early on is very fortunate, you know. And then of course to do it with a good friend of yours. Now you're continuing to act with him now, right? Is that kind of where the Hulu show has spawned from?
Yeah, we should be shooting season 3 soon.
Nice.
I don't know if I did say that, but whatever, I just said it. We've that's right. Yeah. You know, we wrapped shooting season 2 the first week of February of 2020. So it's been almost 2 years.
And what's the premise for those that don't know the show? What is the premise of it? And you know, kind of that's it, I guess, the premise.
Yeah. Ramy, obviously, self-titled, of my co-star / best friend, Ramy Youssef. The show is semi-biographical, where it kind of follows him as a Muslim American living in the suburbs of New Jersey, trying to navigate life as a Muslim American and trying to figure out which side of the hyphen he wants to live his life. Does he want to lean into the religious side more, or more into the American side?
Yeah, I see that when I was watching some of the episodes. Honestly, I didn't know the show prior, but I was glad I found it because you're going to be a guest on this, and I like to do a little bit of research, right? Of who I'm going to talk to. I'm like, I gotta check these out. And one of the episodes titled Atlantic City. So those that have not watched it, spoiler alert, we're going to kind of dive into this one. I kind of honed in on that episode because it was written about then, you know, in articles, I believe, like in Vanity Fair, I think, and you know, other pretty top end platforms. And I kind of honed in on that one, and it was an interesting episode. Are you able to talk a little bit about that or plug that episode and the awkwardness that ensued?
Sure, you go first.
Okay, so gentlemen such as yourself, this is a gentleman issue for gentlemen out there, right? You need to.
I think it's a universal disabled issue.
It is,
because I honestly had a lot of people. All right, I'll get it out of the way. Fine.
Yeah, do it.
Did I say fuck? Whatever. I just did. So, long story short, again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. As in real life, my hands don't work. I need to jerk off. Ramy and I get stuck in a blizzard.
Yeah.
Ramy has to jerk me off. And the both of us go on this 30-minute spiritual journey about friendship and trust, and getting escorts in Atlantic City,
Right.
and what it means to like basically be faithful. And I had a lot of people in the community reach out to me after that episode and say how much they appreciated that, because it's so hard to talk about.
Absolutely.
It's such a real issue in the disabled community, but it's not the easiest thing to talk about. Because obviously we all have PCAs or personal care assistants. Oh yeah, help me get dressed.
Yeah.
Feed me, help me brush my teeth, help me drink my water. You don't really say, hey, help me jerk me off. Some do.
Right. Some might. Do. Yeah.
But obviously, it's hard. And it's weird because in America, sex is such a taboo subject on its own. But when you bring in disability with that, that's unspeakable.
Right.
That's unheard of. And it's really unfortunate because I consider myself a socialist, a leftist. I'm one of those sex work is work people, and I think it's really important that people are more open about that, because why should non-disabled people be able to do that without question, without it being weird or anything. But when someone like me brings it up, it's bizarre.
Yeah. Right. No, I think that you hit it perfectly. The subject matter and how it was dealt with on the episode was educational, to be honest with you. There was points of it. But it really tests, like you mentioned, the faith side in the story of it all, the friendship, the loyalty. I found myself thinking, could I do that for a friend? It's painful. They're needing it done because there's a medical issue side to it. Can you do
that's how I described it to people, is that it literally is a medical issue. If you don't mind me getting personal, there are times where the pain was literally so bad that I couldn't get any work done.
Oh my God.
I'm a writer. It's my job. It's my job to write, and there were literally some days where I couldn't write because I couldn't focus. But again, we can't talk about that.
Right. It's taboo, right? It's something people don't want to talk about. But I have found that, I have the form of the FSHD muscular dystrophy where, it just affects my upper body, mostly walking, those kinds of things. And I haven't had it attack certain parts where it's been extremely difficult to do certain things for myself or whatnot. However, I have met incredible people such as yourself that go through life and are still tackling amazing things, taking on amazing things, doing amazing things. If they're disabled or not, they're still amazing. Like, I don't think I'll ever be a stand-up comedian or actor. I find it awesome.
It's not for everybody.
Do it right, because it's not for everybody. But you have to be good. You have to be good at it. And I just, same with musicians. I love talking with them as well. And then to add the factor of, okay, you have a disability to conquer, and you want to follow that dream of being comedian, actor, doing those things. What's that journey been like for you? I know it's great that you're taking it with your friend along the way, but what's that been like for you, working within that field, being disabled, but also maybe being kind of a pioneer, getting the message out about being disabled, right?
Yeah, it's been really difficult. Really difficult and really beautiful. It's very hard to work in an industry that sometimes does not even acknowledge you.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago when the Oscars put out that press release about being more diverse and inclusive, they left out the disabled community entirely.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'm not welcome here.
Right.
But I'm going to force my way
in.
And, like you said, I'm super, super lucky that I am able to do this with one of my best friends. Because he has been my biggest advocate. And if it wasn't for him, I would not be where I am today, because unfortunately, I would not have gotten here just based on my talents alone. I really needed someone to fight for me, to really make people believe in me and to see my true talents. Now my talents are recognized.
Yeah.
And I'm getting opportunities that I never even dreamt of. But I honestly don't think that would have been possible without having an advocate with me. It's really unfortunate. Really, really kind of sad. And I'm hoping that I'm able to change that. I'm really hoping to be able to show people what I'm capable of and say, hey, I know a ton of other people like me who are just as good, if not better. So tell their stories too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I definitely agree with you there. Does it bother you sometimes when you watch, if it's like a movie role, let's say, and a particular character is disabled in the movie, but they don't hire someone that's disabled to fill the role?
All I'm going to say is that Hollywood would not do that for any other minority. So
good. Well
if
said.
you're not going to do it for anybody else, don't do it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I was diagnosed with just something, I think now it definitely at the time it opened my eyes to the fact that everyone has a something, and it should be represented and not if it needs to be talked about, it needs to be talked about. That was part of the reason why I wanted you on, Steve, is that I wanted people to see that it needs to be talked about. If it's an awkward subject of what has to be done, by a friend, and okay, if it's about tackling roles, being an actor and being disabled and not being represented correctly, I thought, that you'd be a good advocate to kind of speak on behalf of those things. So I'm glad that you're able to share the opinions on those things.
Thank you. Thank you for to give me this opportunity, because I've always felt if I have to be the guy to do all that, fine. Fine. I have no problem with that. If I have this platform of being on TV, and being able to tell my story, yeah,
you'll be that guy, right?
I'll do it. Yep.
What's been the feedback, if you've had any, since the show has aired?
Oh, nothing but positivity. All positive, all love. Just so many people from within the community, just loving that they're seeing someone that will set them on TV. Stories that they can relate to, non-disabled people telling me how much they've learned about what it's like to be disabled. Yeah, just all love.
Any younger people in particular reach out to you? Because the reason why I ask is for our form of muscular dystrophy, FSHD, there's been kind of a overlooked group, and that we've started to shine the light more on it, and that's the early onset, young generation, or even the Gen Z generation is becoming louder about the disease. Have you gotten any feedback from people even younger than you that have kind of talked to you about what you represent to them?
Yeah, I've never got it from some of my students, which is really funny because, I'll be in a class and a student will walk in and be like, wait a minute, you're on Ramy. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like I live here, like I went to school here. Honestly, I get a lot of that from parents who have children with dystrophy, where they've seen the show.
Yeah.
And kind of puts them at ease a little bit because they don't see that on TV. You don't really hear about the stories of the older people. So it kind of gives them a different perspective on the outlook of their child's future, which I think is comforting in a way. Because if I'm doing this at 31, there's no reason why their kid can't.
Yeah.
Like I said, they want to make a fool of themselves on TV. Yeah, go for it, of course.
Right.
I hope that I'm able to make it easier for them, for them to get into this industry or just to do whatever it is the hell they want to do.
Right. How about I found your character on Ramy, the character you play is very quick-witted, sarcastic. I kind of like him. You say things on there that I would be kind of thinking, and then you say it, and I like the edge that your character has. How much of
that's so real.
As to say, is that coming from you, the way you are?
Well, it's funny because I would say about 75% of the lines between Ramy and I are all improv. We're just making it up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've never been afraid to call him or anybody out.
That is great.
But you know what? I think that's why we've been friends for 20 years now. Because we just tell each other what we're feeling, what's going on. And I think that's why the show Ramy is that good, because the feelings are all real.
Yeah.
It's so authentic.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people can relate to it. Muslim or not, disabled or not. It doesn't matter. The stories and the feelings are real and they're universal.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, I found a lot of the episodes, I felt like, okay, I'm not watching a show with a disabled actor. I'm watching an actor, because of the fact that
that's how
back and forth. It was
yes,
the banter. It was real. It was authentic. I think that was a perfect word.
Yeah. And that's how Ramy and I have always described my character. I'm not Ramy's disabled best friend. I'm Ramy's best friend who happens to be disabled.
Yeah.
I think, I'm in 8 episodes in the first 2 seasons. I think the words muscular dystrophy are said once.
Wow.
And that's it. That's it. It's just never talked about.
about moving forward? I know you've done some work, with the MDA. Are you still involved with that group when in regards to your skill set of what you can offer them to help?
Yeah,
It's
it's been a minute. COVID definitely doesn't help.
Yeah.
Everything's virtual.
Yeah.
And I can't do virtual as well as in person.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm way more effective face to face.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of need that impact of being there. And hopefully this all will die down at some point here, that you can get back out there and do that.
I mean, it won't, but
yeah, no, it's just like something stuck on the bottom of your shoe. It just doesn't go away. This COVID thing. It's just
just
keeps being there. But that's why we have you on, because you're funny, and we need
that's it, man. Someone's gotta tell the joke.
That's right. Someone's got to tell the joke.
Yep.
So when's your next gig? Are you able to do anything? I know you say you can't really do it virtual so much, but have you had any cry from people that at least want some type of if it's a virtual comedy set or
it's funny you say
that way?
About 2 weeks ago, I had this sudden urge to just go to New York and do a stand-up set.
Yeah.
And I was about to hit someone up, say, hey, like, what show?
Yeah.
And I do, and I realized, oh, that's not a thing right now. Like, this is not safe at all.
Yeah.
It's they say, oh my God, forget it, you're just having a cold. I still don't want to find out.
Right.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to find out the hard way. So.
No, amen to that.
I just want to shoot, I just want to get in front of a camera again. It's been so long. I need the money. Bad. I haven't earned a paycheck in like 2 years.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's just way too long. And then it keeps talent, off of where it should be. It needs to be shared, with people. When you're making them laugh and you're having good dialogue with friends.
Yeah, I think above all, I miss the connection.
Mm-hmm.
I met a lot of really great people shooting around me, and they're like a family. They're some of the most welcoming and accepting people I've ever met. Because again, you don't really have someone like me on a TV set, so.
Right.
Everyone's learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I miss that connection.
So obviously the hope for you for the future here is that COVID dies away and that you can get out there and make that connection again. But in the meanwhile, for those that want to catch up on some of the Ramy episodes, where do they find that? I know it is on Hulu. I actually kind of found mine on YouTube. You can actually buy episodes off of YouTube as well, but I want you to give that opportunity to plug the show and where can people find it?
Yeah, thank you. I believe in the UK it's on Stars Player.
Okay. Yeah.
Stars, if that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the word Stars in UK. So find it. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. At the Steve Way, TheSteveway. Hit me up. My DMs are always open.
Nice.
I'm always down to, if you have a question, you just want to say hi, if you want to know how you can watch it, let me know.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Steve, for joining us, man. This is a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I'm really glad I could meet you and spend some time talking with you. I'll keep watching the episodes and get caught up, and I guzzle that up like crazy. I really enjoy it.
Yes.
So thank you much for your talent and sharing it with the rest of us.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the platform. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. We'll hit you up in, you said 6 months, so we can talk about your new things that you're doing.
Let's do it. Awesome.
That is Mr. Steve Way. He is actor, stand-up comedian. He is also a high school substitute teacher. That is awesome. That is awesome. So he is the man of many talents, and sharing those talents with us today. So check him out at thesteveway.com, as well as, he said, TikTok and Instagram and other social media platforms. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll digest some of what we talked about and get clued in on some of the other things going on in the FSHD Society world. You're listening to the FSHD Society Radio Show. You're listening to the FSHD Society Radio Show. FSHD Radio is sponsored by Dyne Therapeutics, a muscle disease company focused on advancing innovative, life-transforming therapeutics for people living with genetically driven diseases. Dyne is developing a broad portfolio of therapies for muscle diseases, including programs in facioscapulohumeral muscular dystrophy, myotonic dystrophy type 1, and Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Utilizing its proprietary FORCE platform, Dyne is developing modern oligonucleotide therapeutic candidates designed to overcome limitations in delivery to muscle. For more information, please visit dyne-tx.com and follow Dyne on LinkedIn and Twitter. Welcome back to the FSHD Society Radio Show. Hope you enjoyed this episode of this interview we had with Steve Way. Oh, man. You know, I didn't know anything about Steve Way. I'm totally going to admit that. And I'm not ashamed to do that because I wasn't aware of the show completely. I think I heard a little bit of the show, Ramy, when, I don't know where I saw it, but it was an advertisement for it, I think, through Hulu. And I liked the premise of the show was somebody that is a Muslim in America dealing with everyday things and walking that world. And I don't know anything about being Muslim. I'm not. So I actually found it intriguing, just the ads I saw for it. I think this was a while ago. And then Jun Kinoshita, I believe, is the person that kind of added Steve to our potential guest list. And that's how it works here. We have a great team of people that are looking out for great guests that can come on and share their story and share their talent. And despite the fact if they have muscular dystrophy or whatever their challenge may be, they move forward. And Steve is one of those people. So to be able to watch the shows and then see him and talk to him was really great. Kind of a pinch me moment for me. I'm always just blown away by actors, stand-up comedians, musicians, doing things that I really can't do, and to talk about their craft and how they do it. Not to mention, I kind of have a soft side for teachers. I kind of wish I would have went that direction when I was younger, making my way through the high school ranks. So what was I going to do when I grew up? And for him to be that as well was kind of cool to talk about that as well. And interesting, right? How he says, yeah, it's kind of the same. Stand up, substitute teacher. You got to get their attention. You have to own the room. You have to be on their side. Oh man, and you don't get paid anything. Oh man, and COVID doesn't help. And it's been a difficult task, I think, for so many of us. But for those that are in the arts, it is very difficult. Back when we did the very fun and awesome Giving Tuesday event, we talked to Stephen Blyer, and he said that too, that how things shut down and things went away. And then, previous episodes too, we talked about to other musicians struggling to do live performances. That's how they get paid. So COVID's been particularly difficult in that area, right? And I can't relate completely because I don't do those things, but to hear from their side of it, it's heartbreaking. And from a person that loves those talents and enjoy them like so many of you do, when they're not around or you're, not seeing fresh material, it can get kind of tough too for us. We are fans and we want to see, right? We want to see new material. So I'm glad that Steve could come on, share a little bit about it. My takeaway really for me, for Steve is, I think it's just real simple. He's just authentic. He's who he is. He owns it. He wants to help people through the craft and things he does, and impact lives. You could tell how happy he was when parents of kids that have muscular dystrophy are reaching out to him so they can kind of see into the future a little bit, that their child can be something they want to be when they're an adult, like Steve. And that is a huge impact to him. And that's, I think, what motivates him. That's the sense I got. And I was really glad to meet him. And yeah, in 6 months, I think we should touch base with him, see what he's doing, get caught up. And I kind of apologize for the fact that some of our conversation was a little blue, because of the fact that a term I like to use maybe a little more than some want to hear, like about the episode titled Atlantic City. I really challenge you to watch the episodes, get to that spot, and understand what we were talking about there. That's a real need for those that are disabled. Males need that done. So that they targeted that, and part of the episode was intriguing to me, and a subject matter, like Steve said, a little bit taboo, but needed to be talked about. And I hope it intrigued you to kind of watch all the episodes based on our conversation as we honed in on the one. And the fact that episode in particular was written about in Vanity Fair and other news platforms, tells you that this is an issue. So even though it can get a little graphic for some, it was very, it is what it is. And I'm glad that Steve was able to talk about it. And that's the sense of his personality that I got and that I enjoy. It's the matter of factness. It's this is what it is. So we talk about it or not, it is what it is. So I love his style that way. So let's have one more quick break as we hear from our next sponsor. And when we come back on the flip side, plug a couple things and close up shop. This is the FSHD Society Radio Show. Today's FSHD Society Radio Show is sponsored by Fulcrum Therapeutics. Fulcrum is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, advancing new medicines that target the root cause of genetically defined rare diseases such as FSHD and sickle cell disease. Fulcrum's approach to drug discovery combines insights from patients with rare diseases with the most advanced tools to identify and develop therapeutics that will target the root cause. For several years, Fulcrum has been honored to work with the FSHD community in efforts to build awareness of the impact of FSHD on individuals and families. Fulcrum works in partnership with leaders from the patient advocacy and medical communities to highlight the impact of rare diseases and support continued research. You can connect with Fulcrum on LinkedIn and follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fulcrum TX. Welcome back, FSHD Society Radio Show. If you missed the interview with Steve Way, I'm sorry, because it was fun. It was a great conversation, but you can find it. It'll be posted out there on Facebook still and YouTube, and any episode, including this one, is also found on all the podcast platforms. I know a lot of people watch their podcasts, which I still find odd because I find that podcasts are still an audio platform, but that's fine. You want to watch? I try to set up this so you can engage in it. The studio changed a little bit. I don't know if anybody's noticed behind me. I kind of had some time to kind of alter things, change things, edit, I guess. And hope you kind of like it, but still kind of gives the same feel that we've always had. Camera angles change just a slight. Try to kind of improve on things. My mother watches podcasts, and this one too. I really appreciate the support, believe me. And she mentioned, you have to do a better job, looking at the camera, getting the angle right. So I'm getting critiqued at home, and I accept that. And hopefully this is a little bit better for her and all of you watching the show. And yeah, I also wanted to mention that, there are events coming up. You want to know particularly about certain events in the FSHD Society world, please take a look at the calendar page on fshdsociety.org. It is all out there. There are always some great chapters out there. You can look up chapters locally near you. Those are good ways to do that. Also, things like the Wellness Hour is amazing. The Caregiver Hour, Sharegiver Hour is out there to be a part of. That's, I think, the last, what day of the week is that? Tuesday of every month. Women on Wellness, the WOW group is always meeting. I think that's the first Wednesday, I believe, of every month. Check that out. So there's a lot out there. FSHD University comes out usually on the same day. Our second show of the month comes out. That's the new platform, right? Is we're doing a community profile. Steve Way is in our community. We profiled him and others that we'll have on, and those will still continue to be aired live for you on the second Tuesday of every month. But then the consensus was they being FSHD Society, wanted to kind of key in on hot off the press, or things that are happening a little more in the FSHD community. So we might hear from those that are working within the society, might hear from like Jamshid Arjaman more often through that. You can find those episodes on Thursdays, the fourth Thursday of every month. So we're kind of doubling up. Those will be shorter episodes. They won't be an hour long necessarily, but more information that is more FSHD Society driven will be on those episodes, and you can still find it in the same form that you're finding this one. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that as we walk forward into this new year of 2022. The other thing is, I was asked, and hopefully I can be able to join this event in Orlando in June. Yes, I'm pulling it up right now as I frantically am trying to pull up the month, so I make sure I get the date right before I start plugging it. You never want to plug the wrong date, but on the 18th of June to the 20th or 19th, 18th and 19th, 18th through the 19th, the FSHD Connect conference is going to be happening. The flagship educational conference held every 2 years, big event, biggest probably event. It is the biggest event of FSHD, bringing together hundreds of individuals, families living with the disease. Great time to connect. We've had past guests talk about it when it was in Las Vegas and Atlanta. So it's going to be amazing. Hopefully you can get there. I plan on making the event and being a part of it in some form or fashion. So I'm excited to do that. First time I'll be doing that. And it's a great chance to hear about the research, the drug development, clinical trials, health news, all those things. And honestly, to connect, hence the name Connect. And hopefully you can do that. So I was really grateful to connect with Steve Way today, and look forward to guests coming up in the future and our extra episodes each month, as well as we connect more and more with the FSHD Society and what's going on there. If you want to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you about this episode or past episodes, or questions for me, or you just want to make that connection. I'm here for you. I'm about the community. FSHD Radio at fshdsociety.org is the best way to make that first contact with me via email. That's FSHD Radio at fshdsociety.org. Love to hear from you and learn more about you. So thanks again for being here as we close up shop. We look forward to speaking, or watching in with you again. And thanks for listening. You've been listening to the FSHD Society Radio Show. Today's podcast is sponsored by PerkinElmer Genomics, a market leader in biochemical and genomic testing solutions. PerkinElmer Genomics understands that obtaining a confirmed genetic diagnosis for FSHD can be difficult and frustrating experience for both patients and their families. That's why their laboratory prides itself on launching new and innovative technologies to help families find answers that they are looking for. Just over a year ago, PerkinElmer Genomics introduced the first new diagnostic approach to FSHD type 1 genetic testing in nearly 3 decades. This testing has drastically decreased the time to diagnose while increasing accessibility to patients. Knowing the underlying cause of FSHD can have important implications for the entire family, including help with future medical management decisions. Speak with your provider today and learn more about how you can get testing. Visit PerkinElmerGenomics.com to find out more about available testing options for FSHD and other related neuromuscular disorders that may help you and your family today. That's KINELMER genomics.com.